workshop, where you will learn a modern satsang method for obtaining peace, light, and love in your life. My name is Shivangi, and I will be introducing the facilitator for today's event. But first, I would like to give you a brief overview to this satsang session. If you'll direct your attention to the screen, you will see that the first element is satsang. Satsang is a scientific method whereby we may obtain peace, light, and love in our lives. It requires no physical skill, spiritual accomplishment, or meditation experience to begin this practice. Satsang consists of two words, Sat and Sang. Sat means positive energy, and Sang means to be with or to be in the presence of. Therefore, the word Satsang means to be in the presence of positive energy. The next element is meditation. Meditation is an important part of satsang. When we meditate, our consciousness is drawn from worldly objects and directed inward to focus on a single thought. In doing so, our minds become calm and our thoughts become pure, leading us to higher states of consciousness such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. Inner orientation. There are two types of satsangs, inner satsang and outer satsang. An example of outer satsang would be chanting or attending pilgrimages. When we practice outer satsang, we have the potential to change our behavior, but it is only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain a higher states of consciousness, such as enlightenment, peace, light, and love. This is the type of satsang we will learn today, where we meditate in silence. Group sessions. These weekend workshops are structured for group participation. When we meditate as a group, our focus is improved and our personal progress along our spiritual path is expedited. By regularly attending these weekend workshops, the benefits of group participation are amplified. Joy and inner happiness. All beings wish to experience joy. Joy is the eternal longing of the soul, but it is only through the practice of inner satsang can we obtain a joyous state. Each time we practice satsang, our inner happiness gradually increases, ultimately culminating in a state of joy that we experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Next, the agenda of today's session consists of three parts: the informative session, the practice session, and the interactive session. During the informative session, a lecture will be given about a satsang topic, our founder, or some relevant spiritual topic. During the practice session, instructions on how to meditate will be given, followed by a brief period of practice. During the interactive session, you will have the opportunity to ask questions or there will be a panel discussion. And now, I would like to introduce the facilitator for today's event. He has over 40 years of satsang experience. He is the grandson of Guru Maharaj, founder of Ramashram Satsang Mathura. He was born into a satsang family where he witnessed his family members obtaining states of enlightenment and live lives of peace, light, and love. At an early age, he began traveling with the mission throughout India, facilitating satsangs. During that time, he witnessed the positive effects that satsang could have on mankind. Upon arriving in the United States, both he and his wife continued to facilitate satsangs for local satsangis. He has led teams of satsang members in translating important satsang literature into English and has worked tirelessly to make satsang more accessible to Western and English-speaking audiences. He currently travels throughout the United States, India, and England, facilitating satsangs while maintaining his duties as a husband, a father, and an IT executive. Today, he will teach us a rare and ancient form of satsang as taught by our Guru Maharaj. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Sanjiv Kumarji.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Glad that we're here in satsang. A couple of sessions ago, we talked about unblocking, unblocking. Great topic. So what happened that day was like I woke up and that was the first thought that came, and I think I kind of like that. So today I woke up and the first thing that really came strongly was no resistance. Now, what we're talking about here is like we try to embody transcendental energy like energy, that uplifts, that's positive, that's, it if we embody and if we practice transformation, life changes, consciousness rises, and so on and so forth. But every change, including the flow of energy, goes through resistance. And here I'm talking about internal resistance mostly. So, sat down, and hopefully this will come out as a Substack article soon. So talking about no resistance. So the quiet power of letting energy move through. So there is a kind of exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. And it's the fatigue that comes from fighting what already is replaying. So it's like replaying a conversation, resisting a diagnosis, resisting a delay, resisting a person, resisting yourself. And I can relate with most of it. And sometimes you can feel it physically, a tight jaw, a heavy chest, a restless stomach. And then rarely, beautifully, something shifts. You stop pushing, you stop arguing with the moment, and you taste a state that feels, supernatural in its simplicity, no resistance. A quiet opening, a clear inner sky, energy flows. And, I think let's think about this a little. So what is resistance? Resistance is, not the problem that is in front of you. It's the inner push against the problem. So this shouldn't be happening. They shouldn't be like this. I can't handle this. I need to change this. Now, so resistance is the moment you turn your life into a courtroom. A present moment becomes the accused, the mind becomes the judge. The tragedy is the mind believes resistance is the strength. But most of the time, resistance is simply friction. And I'll talk about a story about, what I mean here. And friction consumes energy. So no resistance is not denial of reality. It's the end of the inner war with reality. So the war ends. What remains is surprisingly powerful clarity, flexibility, presence, clean action. So in spiritual terms, acceptance without becoming passive. So no resistance doesn't mean you tolerate wrongdoing or you accept abuse or you stop taking action or you become indifferent. Here, we're talking about stop resisting life internally so you can respond externally with wisdom. And a lot of people these days, they talk about letting go. And what I have seen, that's, easier said than done. Letting go is extremely difficult. And that's why, because of resistance. So if you stop resisting life internally, you can respond externally with wisdom. So subtle distinction, but it changes a lot. So, when inner resistance is high, anger colors speech, fear narrows choices, ego stiffens, and urgency becomes agitation. And when resistance drops, you're basically come to a response which is direct but not harsh, firm but not reactive, compassionate without being weak. So let the moment be what it is, then do what must be done. So this, if we go towards a little bit, I mean, these days, it's not that I want to, um, I'm looking at neuroscience as, um, it kind of validates what they are uncovering. Seems like I've been observing for ages. So, but the way this research is done in the systematic, methodical way, it just, and we know so little about our brain. So I have, this urge to go deeper into neuroscience just because it is so eye-opening in so many ways. So there, if we look at what is resistance, is basically a threat response internally. So when your brain labels something as unsafe, unfair, unbearable, out of control, it gets our alarm system, the amygdala and the stress circuitry kicks in. So your body shifts into fight, flight, freeze mode. Heart rate, muscle tenses, and breathing becomes shallow. Your mind narrows. So your threat is high, your brain becomes less interested in the nuance, and it wants control, quick answers, so on and so forth. Rumination loop intensifies, the mind replays the past. And, so resistance consumes energy because it keeps your nervous system on. So even if nothing huge is happening, your system is burning fuel. So when resistance drops, your system shifts out of the threat mode. You regain access to higher functions, perspective, empathy, creative problem solving. That is why letting go feels like energy opens up. So it's not that you just gained energy, you're just not spending in this internal combat. So pausing a little to, this is a nice story here. So there is a teaching often taught in Buddhist traditions. So a person is stuck by an arrow. Now, gosh, it's, and this is real, right? And it has happened. So in our lives, this first arrow is like some loss happens, people disappoint you, plans collapse, the body changes, and sometimes just reality arrives uninvited. But then what happens? The mind shoots another arrow. Why me? This always happens to me. I can't stand this. This shouldn't be happening. So the first arrow is pain. The second arrow is suffering. So no resistance is the refusal to shoot this second arrow. So it's not numbness, denial, or it's actually the courage to feel the first arrow without adding the second. So, and this other thing, like I was in New York working there, and sometimes the senior folks will send a one-liner, and it's like my entire shoulder would tense up because that one-liner would take me a while to figure out how to answer. Why did this happen? So sometimes it's like defense, so we react, and the mind wants to win, wants to prove, wants to protect the self-image. But in such situations where somebody is putting that pressure, the leader practices no resistance. They pause, one exhale, long exhale, and then, and without, you feel it, but you step back, and after taking some breaths, just reply calmly, coolly, hey, I got it. I'll look at it and, respond. So it's like when you reactively respond versus when you step back and, think through it. So less inner drama, more effective action. So bottom line is that no resistance makes you stronger. And, we can go on and on, but I think how it is actually very relevant to a meditative practice, our meditative practice as well, which we will practice shortly. What I have seen is that if we sit quietly, the inner resistance is not just our monkey mind or our scattered thoughts. It's more than that. A powerful flow of energy, and believe me, I'm talking from experience, it can be intimidating sometimes, and especially if it just, you're trying to embody this unfathomable energy, and, if it gets unblocked and the floodgates open, it's a whole new experience. And, we like, I can tell you, it's just resistance does come in. So that is why when we slowly practice that, going to higher consciousness, higher awareness states it's not kids play, or, it is a very methodical, it can happen very quickly, but until and unless you prepare for it, it's just when phenomenal energy flows through, it's just an experience that it's a life-changing experience, literally. So let's practice now. And the whole idea is that slowly, as we have discussed, connection, attention, orientation, capacity. So we have to increase our capacity to bring the energy in. Even higher states, so it's easier to say higher consciousness, higher awareness, but to be at that state and sustain it, it's not easy at all. It's like we can say we will be truthful, we can say we won't do this, and we can say so many things, but to stay on that path takes energy, focus, strength, and that inner strength comes from meditation. So on that note, let's practice. Eyes lightly closed, and sit in a still and relaxed posture. So when we close our eyes and sit in a still and relaxed posture, so the idea is that we focus on one thing and one thing alone, because there is barrage of thoughts that keep coming, we want to focus on one. So from multitude to one. Concentrate, focus on one thought and one thought alone. So to bring us to that state, everything that is distracting, everything that is taking us away, and we also want inner orientation because we want to focus on the heart center, bring light, transcendental light into our heart to enlighten it. And in that process, every time, the mind is distracted, we get away from that process. Body moves, mind moves with it. So body ought to be still. Eyes lightly closed and still and relaxed posture so we can focus inwards and focus on one thing and one thing alone. So what do we focus on is we think of this transcendental energy in form of light right here, right now. Think of any conscious source of this energy based on your belief. And this transcendental energy in form of light is entering your heart, distributing throughout your body. And you're becoming one with this light. Mind wanders away, bring it back to this thought and this thought alone. So mind will wander away. As soon as you become aware, you bring it back to this thought and this thought alone, that this transcendental energy in form of light is entering your heart and then distributing throughout your body. And you're getting completely and totally immersed in this light. So you're becoming the light. So you're embodying this transcendental energy in form of light. So if you do other things to help concentrate, like mindfulness, breath work, you can do before or after. But right now, just focus on this presence of this transcendental energy in form of light. That light is entering your heart, enlightening it, and then distributing throughout your body. And you're becoming one with this light. We'll start with music. Music fades away, and then we go deep into silent meditation for a few minutes on this transcendental light, and then we transition out with music again. Let's start. Happy Saturday. Glad that we are here in Satsang. Before we get back to our day, let's stay for a few more minutes and let's absorb what we just embodied. And it's time to just keep that positive energy that's flowing, hopefully with no resistance. So feel free to turn your video on, and thanks Dayal, and unmute, share anything. And I just wanted to say that anyone who shares anything is helping the whole group, because your voice keeps the collective energy alive a little longer. The meditation continues through the conversation. So before we kind of wrap up, we're just, it's time to let the rest absorb that energy while we just, I would love to stay in silence for maybe another 10 minutes, but we have it's not the norm, so it's better to have a conversation instead, which is great. So Christy, Biju, Dayal, thanks for putting the video on. So
hello. Hey everyone, namaste. Sanjiv, gee, that was beautiful today. Usually I do see the light, but today I actually felt it. I think that's the first time I physically truly felt it. Sorry. It felt like how do I explain, like a swirling motion going through my heart and just swirling, coming through and swirling. It was absolutely amazing. So much peace just came across my body. I don't think I've gone that deep in a really long time, so I'm really happy. So thank you.
I would just say it's the effects of the collective energy. So all good.
Yeah. Like you said, I feel like I could have gone on for at least 10, 15 more minutes. It goes so fast. So fast. It's like time just disappears and melts away. So.
Yeah, actually, to tell you the truth, it was a very quiet, nice meditation today for me too. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Hi, everyone. How are you all?
Good.
Good. Bijou, how are you?
Doing good. Thank you, Christy, for sharing that. And yeah, it was a great session. It really was a great session. I practiced this time, but really went deep this time. And even the conversation before this, what you discussed was really, it is such a human thing to not send that second arrow, and just, if time permits, just to elaborate on how do you even, I wrote something specifically what you meant by stop resisting life internally, as something that you mentioned. If you can just elaborate on, obviously only if time permits, what you exactly meant by that, and not sending that arrow is such a difficult thing as I can.
It's interesting how, and I'm not trying to, a lot of people talk about letting go, and also talk about like how difficult it is. But even those, who actually do talk about letting go, I feel most of the time it's more talk than the walk. It's letting go is very difficult. I actually had fairly elaborate discussions on forgiving, right? Forgiving is another thing that, if we let go, then you will forgive. And how difficult it is for people who have either suffered or had some, situation. Forgiving can be very, 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 very difficult, because it's like but that becomes an internal block. And that would, so that would affect so many things internally. So when we let those blocks go, then you actually let it go. And when you let it go, you feel relieved. You feel lighter. You feel, I have actually had some one-on-one discussions where huge amount of anger, huge amount of this, that, and blah, blah, blah. And then they made a serious attempt on forgiving. And, it wasn't the other person. It's like they themselves changed when they actually effectively forgave. So, all these things become like internal resistance, either to the energy flow or to our, even our growth. So we create resistance to our own growth. I think that is what I feel, that, these mental blocks become roadblocks to our growth to a higher state. So maybe that is, Hello, Lydia.
Hello, hi. I hope it's okay if I don't put my camera on. But I would like to
absolutely fine.
Oh, excellent. I want to say thank you so much, Sanjiv, for the beautiful meditation, and thank you for everyone tuning up as well. I really enjoyed it. My question is, during the meditation, I did go quite deep, which is very surprising, and I felt some sensations, and I'm wondering if you could explain them to me. So this time, after the music, I think 5 minutes or so, I don't know what time, but my body got very hot. It was getting hotter and hotter. And I did see some colors and then they disappeared. And then I think after a while, I couldn't sustain the meditation anymore because I'm not a regular meditator. I just started. So my mind obviously started having conversations, distractions, but I really tried the feather technique. To notice it, let it go, notice it, let it go. And then I did that, but I ended up in a dreamlike state. So I went somewhere else. So so can you explain from start to finish what I was experiencing and how can I develop myself to become in the state how you guys are at your level of meditation?
Well, we all are, meditation, I wish it was easier than, what it turns out to be, because every day we are dealing with things, and some of that becomes what we were talking about today, internal resistance to the energy flow. But anyway, so coming back to what you just described, it was actually, I think I'll break down into three pieces to and deal with one at a time. So number one, you saw some lights, etc., which are great, good, but I would ignore. So that's kind of, if it's good, great, and everything, then why would I ignore? Because, every time we accomplish something, there is this internal ego that gets fueled. So with meditation, we rather stay away from that. that was number one advice from my grandfather, Guru Maharaj.
Okay.
So his view was, this system we want to keep away. So the heart center basically keeps, so if you did it on your Agya chakra, or the in between the brows meditation, the lights, the sounds, and various other experiences are far more prominent than on the heart center. And my grandfather focused on the heart center because those are far lesser here. And that, he says, is very good for a sustained growth, because it's not fueling the ego, which then becomes sometimes a subtle resistance, sometimes a very, very rigid and deep resistance. And there is more I can talk, but I think I'll leave it at that. Lights and sounds are great. Enjoy, count your blessings, and run. So,
okay.
Right. Second was the sense of heat, which is actually a little surprising to me. And not really. Okay. No. So what I would say is, yes, it's well documented that deeper meditations would increase the heat in the body. And just to tie it with some current thinking and research, your brain, which is a small part of your body, consumes 20% of the energy. So any, brainy activity would increase that consumption. So that is why brain has these shortcuts, and we can talk about that some other time, to conserve energy. So meditation typically would increase, heat in the body. That is why you would not take a cold shower right after meditation. You would take it before. You would not eat or do something which is like, so heat and cold not switch immediately. Okay. That's one thing. So we always used to have traditionally something to eat right after meditation, like a sweet which has sugar, to give body this energy back. So why there are people who can meditate an hour and two and not feel that much? Because they have practiced and they have developed this growth internally to able to withstand this. So bottom line is, as your capacity grows, as your practice grows, this will be tackled.
Okay, got it.
All right. Third was a dreamlike state.
Yeah.
Which because you had deeper experience, I would have just said, hey, stop there and relax. You kind of asked for some activity, trying to get away from it, and that. So I have a video where I talk about three energies. So first, what you experienced is a pure, positive, uplifting energy, which is what we are here for. But because of the rest of the things that are happening in our lives, that is not necessarily always the dominant energy in meditation. There is this dreamlike or action-oriented where thoughts are coming, and all that. So that's another state which becomes dominant sometimes. And you close your eyes and it's like things I'm seeing, I'm listening, I'm, et cetera, et cetera. People think that that's not a good state, but my father used to say that it is a very essential state where your, inner purity, it's like the way he used to explain is that there is a room, the dust is settled. It may not be absolutely clean, but it's settled and it doesn't look that dirty. But when you start cleaning, the dust comes up and it feels worse than before. So when you meditate, you're trying to focus your mind. There is this state that comes when actually the opposite happens, and there's more thoughts that you have been through, things that you have seen, things that you have not seen, like just come through like a movie. But that's just a passing phase. Sometimes it lasts, few sessions, sometimes longer, etc., etc. But nothing to worry about. This is just what you need to go through. And then the third energy, which can become dominant sometimes, and I have seen it many times, it's like lethargy, darkness. So instead of like you close your eyes and see some lights or light or, a very positive and fresh perspective, instead it's completely the opposite, very dark, very still. You don't even feel like meditating and all that. So that's the third one, more negative rather than positive. But again, that is why my grandfather's directive was, it's a practice. You practice. You don't practice only if it is positive. You just practice, practice, practice. You will go through these phases and then get to a more consistent and deeply positive and uplifted state in most of your meditations. So hope that helps.
Yes, that helped me a lot in understanding and the journey that I will go through. And I look forward to it. Thank you so much, Sanjiv.
Definitely. Definitely. Awesome. Wow. Thanks, Lydia. That was very, I would say, I was about to say a loaded question. It was, but good. No, very good. I'm very glad. Okay, so 11:07 here. So, Bijay, did I answer your question? Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, kind of, sort of, yeah. It's getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about writing to you. So we'll open up the 1 week and 5 week course. We're just doing some last minute adjustments to open it up. It's still something that I want few people to try. So yeah, send that email out.
Okay.
So anything else before we wrap up? So Arvindji, how are you?
Namaskar, Bhaiya. So glad to join. It's again amazing. So thank you for the meditation. Happy Saturday, everybody, and happy Mahashivratri to everyone. Mathura Bhandara is ongoing, and joining you connects us all to that. So it was amazing.
Thanks for reminding that. So right now, as we speak, several thousand people, way north of 10,000, I would say, in Mathura, where my grandfather, Guru Maharaj, used to reside. So it's an annual 3-day, 5-session, massive spiritual gathering. And a Valentine's Day too. Yeah.
I was reminded of what you said once about Viktor E. Frankl, about the stimulus, the space between the stimulus and one's response. And when you experienced this morning, or when you thought about the blocks or the obstructions, that one can face. And I was just gonna, if I may, read what Viktor E. Frankl said. Everything can be taken from a person, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, is to choose one's own way. So, and when we're no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. So, to me, in some way, meditation and satsang allows us to reflect, and allows that space between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. It quietens, if you will.
Oh my God. So before we wrap up, so Natalie, all good? How are you?
Hello.
Hello.
So when we started, I had a really good feeling in the heart space. It was warm and it felt really good. And then when the music started, my cat came over and started biting my phone and like hitting it. And I was like, okay, this is just a distraction. And then my neighbors came out, were making a lot of noise. And I was like, okay, this is external restriction. And then I thought about what you said, and I thought about, okay, so let's go inside, like internally, what are my restrictions? And a lot of insight came through that, and how I'm kind of in this phase of life right now where I'm like finding my own identity and my authenticity. And it's a little bit of allowing myself to really come into that. And also I'm feeling a lot of restriction with my people around me, because it's different than them. So it's a lot of transformation happening in my life right now.
No, when we turn inside, it's actually the more we become aware, as you were saying, talking about self-awareness, there is more resistance inside than we think most of the time.
Yeah.
And there are almost like buried things that we have left behind, that come up as resistance every now and then. So sorting it through ain't easy. But meditation gives us inner strength to tackle, slowly but surely, some of the stuff that is unsorted. that, glad that we are on that journey.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. So very nice. So AC, Jeff, Paula, Geeta, Onkar.
Namaskar ji. Happy Saturday to everyone.
Sujata ji, Anita ji, Biju.
Namaskar, Bhaiya.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, Faisal. Good morning, everyone. It was a great session. As usual, glad to be able to join. And yes, a lot of things discussed, a lot of thinking to do. Thank you.
Well, let's have love, light, and peace be with us. And look forward to have you all back here in Satsang. Namaskar, Mahima ji.
सबको नमस्ते।
Namaskar.